Hey, what's up, Gritters? Today on Worth the Hype, we're diving deep into the mind-bending world of Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga, a game that's been 7 years in the making. If you loved the first Hellblade, buckle up, because this sequel is going to blow your mind. Literally. Let's jump into it before the voices in my head start taking over too. First off, let's talk about the game's atmosphere. Hellblade 2 kicks off with a dramatic bang as Senua, our fierce and troubled protagonist, barely survives a shipwreck. This sets the tone for a suspenseful journey through the Viking realm of Midgard, set during the Viking raids of Britain. Senua's struggles with psychosis are portrayed in a way that blurs the lines between reality and hallucination, making you question what's real and what's a product of her mind. One of the standout elements of Hellblade 2 is its portrayal of psychosis. The developers have done an incredible job making you feel every ounce of Senua's internal struggle. The voices in her head, the creepy whispers, and ghostly figures from the first game are back, but this time, they transform into very real enemies bursting out of the shadows. It's a clever way to show Senua's progress. She's ready to face her fears head-on. You feel every bit of her struggle and triumph, and the constant mental mosh pit happening in her head. Seriously, those voices. They're like having your own episode of psychosis. The game's visual and auditory design is top-notch. Visually, it's breathtaking. The graphics are a massive upgrade from the first game, with more variety in environments and insane lighting and fog effects. Whether you're navigating creepy blood pits or exploring bone-filled raider camps, every place you visit feels super real, even when things get trippy and Senua's psychosis takes over. It's like you're right there with her, experiencing both the beauty and the darkness of her journey. And the sound design? You gotta play with headphones for this one. Why? Imagine flies buzzing right next to your ear around gross dead bodies, or water dripping in a spooky cave so clear it feels real. Even crazier? The voices in Senua's head. They're gonna feel like they're whispering right behind you. The sound design elevates the experience even more. Screams pierce the air, fire crackles ominously, and Senua's own inner turmoil unleashes a symphony of madness. Now, let's talk combat. Hellblade 2 ditches the fighting style from the first game and goes for a more realistic, cinematic approach. The combat might feel a bit repetitive to some, but it looks incredibly cool, like you're in a brutal movie. It's all about timing your attacks and letting the animations play out. This might not be for everyone who liked the first game's combat, but it does make the fights look epic. And here's a standout feature: combat in complete darkness. Words can't quite capture it, but this game redefines what shadows can do. Imagine fighting in near darkness, relying on the flickering glow of fire and fleeting particle effects to see your enemies. The camera shoves you right into the chaos, making every encounter a desperate struggle. It's a unique and unforgettable experience. One of the things that Hellblade 2 does exceptionally well is making Senua feel vulnerable. She's not an invincible warrior. She's clumsy, desperate, and clinging to survival by a thread. This vulnerability adds a whole new layer of tension to the combat, making every encounter a desperate struggle. It's a raw and brutal portrayal of psychosis, a stark contrast to the usual video game hero who effortlessly cuts down enemies. Many games feature heroes who shrug off exhaustion and leap back into action. Here, Hellblade 2 takes a different approach. The animation team spent less time on warrior chic and more on exhausted mom after soccer practice. The lighting? It's like someone dimmed the whole world because Senua forgot to pay the electricity bill. Again, thanks, voices in her head. Now, let's talk about the story. Without giving too much away, Hellblade 2 continues Senua's journey in a way that feels both familiar and fresh. The narrative is deeply engaging, and the game does an excellent job of portraying Senua's internal struggles. However, the story feels a bit short. Just when things get juicy, it wraps up, leaving you wanting more. The game is extremely linear, with limited draw distance, often making you feel like you're navigating a tunnel. Remember those epic boss battles from the first Hellblade? Well, buckle up for some disappointment, because Hellblade 2 decided to swap those out for something a little less epic. Instead of facing off against mythical beasts the size of your apartment building, you get to play a thrilling game of hide and seek with Well, let's just say the special effects department went a little overboard on the flashy lights. It's like the developers suddenly remembered they had a budget for fireworks and decided to blow it all at once. Now don't get me wrong, the game is still gorgeous, and I'm down for another adventure with Senua. But as a sequel, feels a bit off. Remember how Senua said, "We have another story to tell" at the end of the first game? Yeah, this doesn't quite feel like what we were promised back then. The ending itself is decent, but it flies by so fast, leaving you wanting more. Compared to the first game, the story doesn't leave as lasting an impression. But despite these shortcomings, the story is captivating and will keep you hooked from start to finish. Hellblade 2 also introduces some new characters that Senua meets along her journey. These characters aren't the deepest, but their interactions help explain the story more effectively than the live-action bits from the first game. They add a new dimension to the narrative, making the world feel more alive and interconnected. Now let's get into why you should play Hellblade 2. First, if you're a fan of deep, immersive storytelling, this game is a must-play. The narrative is rich and engaging, making you feel deeply connected to Senua and her journey. Second, the game's portrayal of psychosis is unlike anything else out there. It's raw, brutal, and incredibly immersive, making you feel every bit of Senua's struggle. Third, the game's visual and auditory design is top-notch, creating a world that feels both beautiful and terrifying. And finally, the combat, while different from the first game, is cinematic and visually stunning, making every fight feel epic. Also, there's this new Game Plus mode. It's a whole new perspective, as different characters narrate the events, offering fresh insights you might have missed the first time around. Even though some things are different, I gotta say, I still really enjoyed Hellblade 2. You'll like it as well. In the first game, Senua was driven by grief. She had to save Dillion's soul, no matter what. But this time around, it's all about her choice. She's hurting, but she chooses to help others suffering like her, even if it means more pain. It's like she's found a new purpose beyond just her loss. But be warned, Hellblade 2 isn't for everyone. If you have an itchy trigger finger, or constantly tell the voices in Senua's head to shut up and get on with it, this game might not be your cup of tea. It's a slow burn, designed to build tension and immerse you in Senua's world. However, for those who appreciate a captivating story and cutting-edge visuals, Hellblade 2 is a gem. So, is Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 for everyone? Probably not. But if you're looking for a unique adventure that messes with your head in the best way possible, this is your ticket. Just remember to keep those headphones on. Those voices are more persistent than a tax collector. Thanks for watching our Hellblade 2 adventure. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more epic content. Share your thoughts below. See you next time, Gritters.